So we saw all sorts of different kinds of dragons from all around the world. Let's think about some traits we can give our dragons. I think I'm going to give my dragon big curly horns, sharp teeth, and a big beard. Or maybe I'll give mine a feather headdress and ears from a mermaid. What kind of things would you like to make your dragon have? Go ahead and think about it for a second. All right, so we're going to start with our dragon painting. So the very first thing we're going to do is go over the supplies you'll need. So the first thing you're going to need is a canvas board. So this is a piece of cardboard with gesso on it. You can also use paper, but it's better to use one of these. All right, next you're going to need paint brushes and a paint basin. So I've used a little Tupperware for mine. You can see I'm cleaning my brush in it. That's what it's for. The first brush we're going to use today is our flat. So to dry off your brushes, use a towel. So I'm going to dry my brush off. This is our very first brush today. This is called a flat. And I can imagine you can figure out why it's called a flat, right? All right, the next brush we're going to need is called a filbert. And a filbert is one of my favorite ever brushes in the whole world. So I'm going to dry mine off. And this is called a filbert. A filbert has similar qualities to a flat. You can see it's pretty flat, but it's got a curved top. This is for making cool shapes like scales. And last but not least, you're going to need a round. So let me pull out my rounds. There we are. So this one is called a round. It's called a round because the brushes are arranged in a round shape. So when I dip this in water and dry it off, what it's going to make is a pointed tip. This is good for details and patterns. All right, next you're going to need a palette. Mine is very messy, but if you don't have a palette, use a paper plate. I like to use paper plates myself. And last but not least, you're going to need paint. And so we're going to be using today acrylic paint. There's lots of different brands you can get, but anything you have around the house will do. So for the very beginning of our painting, we're going to paint the background. Who knows what a background is? That's right, the background is what goes behind a picture. So for our background, we're going to make a sky. So to make our sky, we're going to make a gradient. So a gradient is the transition between one color to the next. So for our background, we're going to think, what is the color of the sky? Is it orange, green, blue? That's right. So we are going to take two shades of blue. We're going to use a dark blue and a light blue. For this part, we don't need to use our palette because we can just put the paint right on the board. So to start off, we're going to start with our lighter shade. All right, so I'm going to hold mine up. You should use it flat on your desk. Don't hold it up like mine is, okay? So we're going to add just a little bit of paint. If you have an adult around, make sure they do this for you because it's very easy to go crazy with the paint. So we're going to add 3 dots. 1, 2, 3, just like that. So we're going to take our flat, like I showed you, and to do this, we are going to cover the whole brush. So it's very important we think about the direction that we're using our paintbrush. So we're going to go back and forth. So 1 and 2, back and forth. We're going to make our way up, pick up more paint when we need it, move it up to the top, and we're going to fill it in. You don't want to see any white patches. And make sure you're only going back to forth all the way across. And if you want to do little strokes, you can, but all the way across like this. See that? So we're going to make sure it's mostly covered using short back and forth strokes to get our corners, and then back and forth. So once we've got this top quarter done, you're going to keep the same brush and the same paint and work your way down. Now it's going to go transparent, And that's what we want. Transparent is when you can see the background through the paint. So we're just going to keep going back and forth. When we run out of paint, what we're going to do is go back up, do back and forth, and then bring it down just like that. There we go. All right. So what we have here is the beginning of a gradient. As you can see, it goes from blue all the way down to white in a gradient transitional pattern. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. Alrighty, keep your brush. Don't wash your brush yet. Put it down on a safe place and use your dark blue. All right. So we are going to put our dark blue in the middle. So we're going to do just above the middle. We're going to do 1, 2, and 3, just a little bit. All right, so we are going to go ahead and start. Move the camera. There we go. So we're going to start with our back and forth motions, just like we went over. Move up just a little bit. Make sure to go all the way to the edges and start moving it down. As it starts to go transparent, don't worry, don't freak out. Just go up to the top where you have the most paint, pick it up with your brush, just like that, and move it down. Keep doing your back and forth motions. All right, so keep going back and forth, faster and a little harder. You see it's blending? Look at that, very cool. This is how we make a gradient. If you need more paint, don't worry, go ahead and add some more dark blue. We're gonna add it up top because this is where we're gonna need more of it. 3 drops. Go ahead, pick it up with your brush, boop, 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 and bring it down. Now make sure you don't go too far into your light blue. Always stay moving down. Just like that. Keep moving it back and forth, big strokes. Now you see how I've got some corner bits here? I'm going to take my paint and do little tiny strokes in one direction. Cover that up. There we go. All right. So now that we've got our gradient, what we're going to do next, I'm going to just go ahead and add a little more detail to mine. There we go. What you want to have is a smooth transition of color, just like that. So we're going to flip it back over and we're going to add more dark blue paint, and we're just going to make this part solid dark blue. Add more paint as you need it. As you can see, mine is a little transparent, so it's not all the way solid. So I'm going to add a little more paint to mine. There we go. I'm going to keep doing my back and forth. Look at that. Very good. There we are. Awesome. All right, so we're going to keep doing our back and forth until all of the white is covered. Looks like I need a little more paint. And that's okay. You can always add more, but you can't take away. So go in little bits. There we go. Back and forth, back and forth. It's okay if I get it on your hands. See, I'm getting it all over mine. Make sure you're wearing a shirt that you can get paint on. I'm wearing my Bob Ross shirt. All right, so now take your dirty brush and put it into your water. So now you have a wet canvas with a gradient on it. See that? Very cool. So what we're going to do is put it down somewhere where you won't touch it. See, I've got it on my hands already. So now we have to wait for it to dry. So while we wait, we're going to watch another cartoon. Here we go. Okay, so by now your paint should be mostly dry. So when you hold it up to the light, it won't reflect. Now, if it's not fully dried, feel free to pause the video and wait for it to dry, okay? We can't go over it if it's still wet. All right, so if you need to let it dry, pause it now. Okay, so now that our paint is all dry, we're going to hold our painting like this. So we're going to go light to dark. So in order to make a dragon, we need to think about how cartoonists think about characters. Now, I know you guys know what shapes are. Can you guys tell me some shapes you know? How about shapes you see in the room behind me? Very good. I can see my poster of a star chart. These are all circles. Over here is a painting my mom did for me. This is a rectangle. And over here on my shelves are squares. Everything you see with your eyes is made up of shapes. So there are two different kinds of shapes. One is a geometric shape. This is an unnaturally occurring shape that is symmetrical. Symmetrical means if you fold it in half, it'll be the same on both sides. So as an example of a geometric shape, we're going to look at our canvas. As you can see, it is not naturally occurring, and it's the same on both sides, just like that. The other kind of shape is called an organic shape. An organic shape is one you find in nature and that is not symmetrical. So as an example, we're going to use a leaf from my plant. This is a pothos leaf. As you can see, it's yellow. But if we fold it in half, we can see that it's not the same on both sides. So go ahead and pause the video and think about some shapes that you know. Okay, so we're going to think about the way our dragon looks in shapes. So who can think of a shape that a head might be? A circle? Very good. So to start off our dragon, we are going to use white paint. Now I'm almost out of this one. So let me go grab some more. All right, I have my white paint. So what we're going to do with our white paint is we're going to pour it onto our palette. So I'm going to pour it into one of my little sections, and it's okay if you don't have little sections, but you're going to pour out just enough, like that. Make sure you put the top on. We all knock things over. Now the brush we're going to use for this part is we're going to use our filbert. Okay, so we have our canvas. Let me go ahead and shift the camera. So we are going to paint a circle. So dip your brush into the white paint, but only this much. You should never, ever, ever have paint go up to this part of the brush. This is called the barrel. Now, if you get paint in here, it'll dry and make the brush unusable. So we're going to paint our circle right here in the corner of our canvas. With a nice light stroke, we've got ourselves a circle. All right, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be roughly this size. If you make it too small, feel free to add more around the edges. Just like that. Now, we're going to add our second circle for his snout. So this is going to be a smaller circle down this way. Just like that. And now we have a snout. Now to connect the snout, we're going to use a natural organic shape. We're going to do a little U shape here, just like that. Bring it into the circle. And then we're going to do another U shape right here, just like that. And now we have a dragon head. Now we're going to do his neck. So grab a little bit more paint, and his neck is going to come from his head. Now his neck is not a geometric shape. What is it? Organic. Very good. So we're going to do, my dragon is going to have a long neck like a Chinese dragon. So it's going to go down like that. And then I'm going to add the second half like that. And now he has a very long neck. I'm going to go ahead and refine the shape. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Now he has a super long neck. Now you can add what you'd like over in this side. You can add a paw or a tail. I'm going to add both, so you know what you're doing, but you can only pick one. For his paw, I'm going to draw one circle, half circle, half circle. All right, see how that looks? Now I'm going to add a U shape to that, just like that. And now I have to give him a little arm. So I'm going to do a curvy shape here, just like that, and a curvy shape here. It gets thicker at the end. His arms taper. So I'm just going to go over, refine the shape. I'm actually going to make his paw a little bit bigger. So to do that, I'm just going to expand the lines. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. All right, and now I'm going to give him a tail. So for my tail, I'm going to have it make, I think I'm going to give my dragon a pointy tail. So for that, I'm going to draw 1 and 2. Go ahead, refine that, and you're going to have a curvy triangle. All right, now we need to think about different things we want to add to the head. I think I'm going to give mine feathers. Now, who knows what the shape of a feather looks like? It looks like this, and your filbert is the perfect size for it. We're going to go ahead, take our filbert, and just press it down flat, like that, and drag. And now we have a little feather. So we're going to get some more paint, press it down flat, and drag. Flat, and drag. Flat, and drag. And now he has feathers. And I'm going to give him a horn. I'll give him a fun little curvy one, just like that. You can make horns of any shape you want. So he has a horn, and I'm going to give him, let's see. I'm going to give him an ear, and it's going to be like a cat. So cat ears are triangles. So what I'm going to do is give it a curvy part here, make it go down and down. See how it's a little triangle? Very good. So we are going to be coloring this in white. Why are we coloring it in white, Miss Maggie, you ask? Isn't it supposed to be colorful? It is supposed to be colorful, but by adding a white background before we paint over it makes the colors pop. So we're going to go ahead and take our time to color it in. Just like that. I'm going to pause the video and give you time to color it in. Take your time and pause the video until you're completely colored in. All right, so we're going to get to this point here. As you can see, my whole dragon is colored in solid white. I forgot the tail. So we're going to do a quick review on brush etiquette, how to take care of your brush. So as you can see, the brush has not come to my barrel. So the paint is not in the barrel. So I'm going to pick it up, boop, 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 just like that. Just cover it in, just like that. See there? All right, so now this is a very important step of our painting process. We need to let this white paint dry completely. So I'm going to play a video for you guys from one of my favorite shows, Phineas and Ferb. And if you need extra time after that, pause it and let it dry. Acrylic painting requires patience. So that's what we're going to have to use today. So all right, we're back. So to tell that your painting is dry, what you're going to do is touch it. Boop. If it comes back with nothing on it, you are good to go. So now our next task is picking our colors. So for my dragon, I'm going to use, first of all, my favorite color, purple. Purple, in some places of the world, represents royalty and luxury. I think, personally, it represents joy. So I'm going to add a little bit to my palette. Do not add as much as I did. All right, next, to complement my purple, I'm going to use yellow, my complementary color. So I'm just going to go Whoop. There he goes. And then I think I'm gonna add some pink. And orange. There we go. All right, so at this point, you can just go ahead and go crazy. All right, but remember, after we're done going crazy, we're gonna draw on our eyes. So go ahead, I'm gonna pause the video and you're gonna pause the video too, just to color it in. And you can do whatever you want as long as you stay on the white part of the dragon. Alrighty, I am back and here is my finished product. So as you can see, I used all of my funny colors here to make the feathers, the horn, the paw, the toe beams, and some funky feathers on his neck. So also I used the gradient trick we learned before to make his neck turn from blue to purple. So our next step is we have to give him a face. So there's lots of different shapes you can pick for your eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a couple for you. So there's two kinds of eyes that are really like the main thing. So for evil dragons, they have an eye that looks like this. Straight line on top, circle on the bottom, just like that. You can give him a little pupil here, just color that in. You have an evil eye. For good dragons, you get an oval, just like that. And you put the eye pupil right around here. All right, so I'm going to make my dragon a good dragon. So I'm going to give him a circle eye. So what you're going to use for this one is your round. Get nice and clean. Here's your round. We're going to dip our brush in the white, swirl it around just like this. And we're going to go ahead and draw our eye right about here. Just like that. Fill it in. And we have our eye, just like that. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and refine the shape, just like that. Now we got to give him a mouth. He can have an evil scowling mouth, but I'm going to give mine a smile using black, just a baby bit. I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to dip it in the black. Don't swirl it this time, just so it looks like this. I'm going to find where I want his mouth to sit, so I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to give him a big smile. The mouth should end right around here. So his snout goes like this. Now we have to give him a nostril so he can breathe, of course. So we're going to give him a little nostril up here, just like that. There we go. Now he has a nostril. And he needs an eyebrow. So if you're going to do an evil dragon, you would put your eyebrow like this. But since I'm doing a good dragon, I'm going to take my black. It's going to float over her eye, and it's going to go like this. There you go, just like an upside down U, right? Okay, so now I'm going to give my dragon her pupil. So a pupil is the black spot in the middle of your eye. That's what we use to look. So I'm going to take my black, and I want my dragon to be looking forward. So her pupil is going to sit right here. It's going to be smaller than the white and stay in the eye. See how it turned white? That's because I didn't wait for my water to be dry. So I'm just going to do a layer over it and wait for it to dry. There you go. We have to be very patient when we're painting, or else your finished product will look like this. Very silly. So now we have our dragon, but she's not finished yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to give her outlines, and you're going to need a black Sharpie. All right, so I'm going to try to do this backwards. So I'm going to go down here. I want to make sure you can tell her neck and her arm apart. So I'm going to do a line Nice and steady. You can get an adult's help. Straight down. And then I'm just going to outline her arm. Make sure your paint is entirely dry. It'll ruin the marker if it's not. Just like that. I'm going to go here, outline that, outline her little toe beams. Just like that. All right, so go ahead and take some time. I'm going to pause my video, so you should pause yours too, to outline your dragon. All right, now you can see how much more defined all of the parts are now that it's outlined. So my next step is I need to refill in her pupil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clean round, wash it off, dip it nicely into the black, and just color it in. Just like that. There we go. Now we get to give our dragons teeth. Now our teeth are shaped like squares, see? But dragons' teeth are pointy, so they're shaped like triangles. So we're gonna dip our brush in the white and give her some funky fangs, just like that. You could do as many or as little as you'd like. Just like that. And there you go. So now you have some time to add all sorts of patterns to your dragon. You can do whatever patterns you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my light blue and I'm going to give my dragon a heart under her eye. Actually, no, I'm going to give her a star. Like that. 1, 2, just like that. And now she has a little star under her eye. And I think I'm going to give her stars on her tail. And you could do whatever pattern you want. Just like that. There you go. And once you're all done with your painting, make sure you take your Sharpie and sign it in the bottom corner. That way, everybody knows whose masterpiece it is. So I'm going to sign mine in my fancy artist signature. Just like that. And you could sign yours however you'd like, but make sure your name's on the back, of course. And we're all done. So we have finished our magical dragon. Now, I hope you guys will send this to me and let me take a look. But until then, enjoy. Bye.